Hello everyone! I have my blood test results here, finally.
Oh, greetings! It is I, the Count, number of the day!
In today's video, I'm going to be going through my recent blood test results, which I've been meaning to get for so long, but if you've been following me for a while, you would know that needles are just my phobia. Like, give me snakes and spiders any day of the week, fine, but I just don't like needles. But I've had this script to go get this blood test for like a month, and I was finally a big girl on Monday and when I got it done. And what kind of pushed me over the edge to just like hurry up and go get it done is because I'm still breaking out and I'm doing so many things that are evidently working and helping me to become healthier, because my results were actually quite impressive. But I obviously am very passionate about the root cause approach, and it makes so much scientific and logical sense, because if something's not right, there needs to be a reason for that. So rather than just being like, oh, well, that's okay, let's just like give you a medication to bump the levels up. It's important to actually ask, okay, but why isn't it right? Like, let's go behind the scenes a little bit, because if you just take medication to like bump levels back up to normal, whatever is happening behind the scenes continues to happen. So it is really important that you go and get testing and you go and work out what your body is actually doing, and try and find answers that way. So yeah, I was going back for a little extra problem solving, and also with my naturopath, I am in need of a new herbal tonics, like the little liquid herbs. So it is important, I guess, to have my updated test results so that we can know whether we need to tweak or change anything in the herbs, which we probably will have to change a few things, given what I will share with you guys in this video. So what I've done is if you haven't seen it already, I do also have a video on how to read your blood test results properly. So I do recommend that you go and watch that one. You can do it, either pause this and go watch that first. It might kind of explain a little bit more about what I'm doing, just so that you can understand a little bit about why I'm reading into things a certain way. But yes, I'm very excited. I've started a few things that I want to talk to you guys about. So yeah, let's get started. So pretty much all of my levels were normal, and all of the things that, well, all except for a few, but all of the things that I was out in last blood test. So my last blood test was August last year, and then obviously this one was in July, late July. So it actually was very difficult to get a GP to give me a blood test in between then, even though I got diagnosed with PCOS in February. It's because Medicare is cracking down on them. So for those of you who aren't from Australia, Medicare is our healthcare system, and it is very modern medicine based. So if there's no like legitimate reason why you need to look into your health, then Medicare doesn't want to supply a blood test. And I get it, like it's money, but it's important for people to be responsible for their health and to actually know what's going on with their bodies. So yeah, even though I got diagnosed with PCOS and it would make sense to kind of get another blood test, I wasn't allowed one until a year's time was up. So got my new blood test results. My cholesterol and everything on the front page is all handy dandy. My cholesterol back in 2014 and then even in 2018 was high. Last blood test in 2019, it was much lower. It was still like on the upper end of high, but it's yeah, still within normal range. And then yeah, it's pretty much similar to what it was then in 2019 this year. That's just because I know more now. I know more about health, I know more about my body, and I eat a lot better. I'm not on like any crazy restrictive diets, and yeah. So the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about, the doctor did say that I think it was my ferritin. She said that that is on the lower side, but obviously it's still within normal ranges. So I did really appreciate that she was looking outside of like just saying, oh yeah, it's all normal, see you later. But she was actually looking a little bit further into it. So yeah, iron, it's still pretty safe within normal range, but she just said make sure it doesn't go any lower. And I have been eating more plant-based recently, but I still eat meat, like nothing crazy. It's probably, though, lately I've been eating a lot of white meat, like chicken and fish. and I've been trying not to have as much red meat. So it's just important that I try and keep up my iron stores, not necessarily by eating heaps of red meat again, but there are other foods that are super important in raising your iron levels, and so she just said to make sure that I'm on top of that, but there's nothing to be concerned about at the moment. If you need more information on iron, why it's important, and what foods are good and bad for iron, I have a whole video on iron, which is an amazing video if I do say so myself, because I just nerded out the whole time. It's just science. But yes, also my vitamin B12 levels have literally doubled since my last 2 tests. So May 2018 and August 2019, the active B12 was around 45, and now it's 78, which is awesome, and does not explain why I've had a really rough week this week. I've been so tired and struggling to sleep. But I just think that that's like a combination of anxiety and stress, and yeah, because there's like some big things in the works. By the time this video comes out, my ebook will be out, which is so exciting, and I've worked 3 months on that, so it's my little baby, so I'm putting my heart and soul and all my time and all my thoughts into it, at least for this last week especially. So yeah, vitamin B12, I was really impressed, is up because that has a significant effect on your energy levels. Also my thyroid stimulating hormone. Last year it was within normal range, and it's still within normal range, but it's actually halved. I think my naturopath has been putting in some herbs to help my thyroid in my herbal medicine as well. So that just goes to show that that's working. But yeah, it was, in 2014 it was 1.3, 2018 it was 1, then it went up to 2.3, which was still within normal range. Nothing to be concerned about, it wasn't up in the higher end, but yeah, it was obviously double what it had been prior, and then now it's back down. So that's interesting. Another important thing I think that I didn't actually mention in the how to read your blood tests properly video, so like a 4th point that's important, is to not just think outside the box in terms of like whether you are high normal or low normal, but also to look at your history. So don't just look at the latest and greatest result. Obviously that's the most important because that's where you are now, but you do need to look at, are you on an upward trend? Are you on a downward trend? Did you spike all of a sudden one year and now your levels have restored? Like what is your body actually doing compared to what it usually does or what it has done in the past? So yeah, looking at your history is super important too. Then we have my hormone profile. So I know, because I've been tracking my cycle, that I am in the middle of my cycle, and I do go into this more in the ebook and explain it in a lot more depth, but I know that I should be around ovulation / I should be past ovulation, but I think my body's just about to ovulate because it kind of attempted to a couple times and then was like, yeah, nah. Gotta love that PCOS life. Anyway, so you can see what I've highlighted. My FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, it looks like I'm in my luteal phase, which is like the last phase of your menstrual cycle, just after ovulation. My luteinizing hormone looks like I'm about to ovulate, which fingers crossed. My estrogen or estradiol is like I'm in my luteal phase. And the progesterone, I reckon my progesterone's low because I'm either about to ovulate, so in mid-cycle, or I'm in my luteal phase. And it's pretty low on both scales. Like it does fit in the mid-cycle range, but it's supposed to be past that by now. Anyway, hopefully it'll get higher, but I'm not getting a blood test next week, so we won't really know. That's the thing with hormones and with hormone testing, is that it does obviously change every week, it changes every month. So yeah, it can be a bit hard because if you go and pay $300 for a hormone test next month, your hormones might be completely different. But it is still good to get testing, but I just get the free blood tests for now. And my naturopath was confident she could treat me based on my symptoms anyway. So yeah, and a blood test obviously. My testosterone was like smack bang in the middle of normal. What? Why do I have acne then? I think I have a new path, a new direction that I'm going to explore, so stay with me. My vitamin D levels. So 2018, they were 80, which is like smack bang in the middle of normal. Then in 2019, they were 49, so I was like just on the low side, outside of normal, and now they're back to 81. So I've restored my vitamin D deficiency, even though I haven't seen the sun all week. Vitamin D plays a huge role in so many things, and I actually also have a vitamin D video. So if you guys think that you're vitamin D deficient, I highly recommend that you go and watch that video, and it explains to you how we make vitamin D and all that stuff. So I also flagged the IgA, and so this was my celiac disease, and I just flagged it because obviously I was interested to see what this would come back as. I didn't flag it because there was anything wrong with it, but yeah, it's saying that if that was high, then it would mean that I have a lot of antibodies trying to fight off the gluten, but it's not. If anything, it is lower than the middle of normal. So that would suggest that like it's not even upper normal, like it's very, yeah. So I feel like my antibodies are not trying to fight off gluten, which is really good. But gluten is still inflammatory for a range of other reasons. It can get through the gut and just mess up some communication between some of your cells and everything. To be explained for another time. My sodium is still within normal, but this is what I was talking about with looking at your history. So usually I'm around 37, and now I'm up to 141. But the most I've ever jumped is 1 either side of 37. So I was 138, 136, 137. So over 3 years, that's like pretty consistent. And now I'm at 141. So sodium is salt, and you will see further down that my ALP is high. And so that has to do with your liver. And my doctor actually did mention this to me. She said, she actually checked me for gallstones. I had to like lie down on the bed, and she like karate chopped me to see if there was any pain. It was like such a lovely experience. It didn't hurt, but like she just like applied heaps of pressure on my stomach, and I was like, okay, cool, thanks. But there was no pain there whatsoever, so I don't have like gallstones or anything like that. But it is super interesting, and this is where I think I'm going to divert most of my attention and my problem solving from here, is on my liver and how the liver is connected to acne. So yes, sodium is high, and that can be an indication of poor liver function. My urea is significantly lower than what it was previously. So it's still within healthy range, but it's on the low end of normal. And in the past, I've been 4.4, 4.3, 4.6, and now I'm at 2.9. So that is quite a big drop, given that it's only been this one, like this blood test. So urea is linked to the liver as well, can indicate liver disease. I'm not being like dramatic and going that far just yet, but obviously it's all just like things to be aware of so that I can make changes, because if I didn't explore any of this, then I probably could end up with liver disease. So it's just kind of good to be on top of everything. And then magnesium, I just marked this one because sometimes my muscles like glitch. That's such a computer nerd term. Like pulse or something, and I like that can mean that your muscles are not relaxed, and it can mean that you're magnesium deficient, which I did get a magnesium supplement, but I'm smack bang in the middle of normal for magnesium, so that's really weird. But sometimes when I go on like hour-long walks, I'll come home and then my muscles will just be like pulsing. It's so annoying, but I just take my magnesium supplement and it goes away straight away. So that must be just like a in the moment thing. Because I didn't take any magnesium supplements in the last week or anything that would have shown up on the blood test. Got my insulin tested because I wasn't sure if insulin was affecting my PCOS. The insulin test on blood tests is not the most accurate insulin test, and you can be considered normal in the blood test but actually not be normal and still have insulin resistance when you go get the more in-depth tests. But I found it very interesting that my insulin levels were literally smack bang in the middle of normal. So I don't know, with that kind of feedback, I don't know, I just don't see myself like if I went to get those more complex tests. Like it's not even like I'm high normal or low normal, I'm just like normal. So maybe I should go get a muffin and have some sugar. because yeah, I've like been really good with eating for insulin resistance lately, just in case that was my cause of PCOS. But and I'm still going to continue eating really well and avoiding sugars and everything, and eating low GI because that's kind of good for you anyway. But yeah. And then lucky last, my DHEAs. So they were significantly high last time, which is what caused me to go get a ultrasound, and that eventually led me to getting diagnosed with PCOS, because so DHEAs are a form of testosterone, they're a precursor, and so if they are high, and I have polycystic ovaries and obviously anovulatory cycles at the moment, then at the time I had like my periods were really long, so yeah, but now it's in normal range. It's very high normal. So it's 9.1 and the range upper limit is 9.2. So I do still have to be very aware of that. But DHEAs are not just like normal testosterone that are produced in the ovaries. DHEAs are actually produced in the adrenal glands. So they would indicate that my testosterone, or high level of testosterone, is more likely due to stress, which would mean that I have, because there's different causes of PCOS, and that would mean that I have the stress PCOS. So that's why I've been cutting out coffee and putting in a lot of effort to cut down my stress levels. But yeah, so that's really good that obviously what I've been doing is helping to reduce those stress levels, and obviously like what I'm doing with my naturopath and the herbs that I'm taking have been reducing those as well, because obviously I'm on supplements like licorice with peony that reduce your androgens. Androgens are just the collective term for your DHEAs and testosterone and all those male hormones. But I just need to keep at that. It's good that now I'm down in normal range. And that is all. Sorry if this has been a super long video. Hopefully that's not boring, but as you would know if you've watched all of this and you've gotten this far, my next step that I'm going to be looking at is my liver. I think that there is a lot more to be explored there, and when my ALP was high last blood test, I thought it was because I was vitamin D deficient, because my research, I looked at the link between the two of them, and I do speak about that on my video, how to read your blood test properly. But I thought I was vitamin D deficient because my research showed me that ALP is commonly high when your vitamin D levels are low. So I was like, oh, cool, that explains that. But now that my vitamin D is all good again and my ALP is still high, so yeah, it must be a liver thing. And there are a few other things like the urea and all that kind of thing that do also hint towards my liver. And that's pretty much the only hint that I've gotten from the blood test results, because most of them were normal, were perfect. Sometimes perfect isn't good because then you don't have answers, but no, I think that I've got enough to go off. So hopefully this video has inspired you guys to read into your blood test results, and you are totally entitled to get a printout of your blood test results. My doctor had a printout ready for me when I came in, but I don't know if all doctors do that. I've heard that some people don't get printouts of their blood test results. It's just really good to have on hand because it can explain so much. So I highly recommend that you go and get a test if you haven't recently. It's also a really big help to be tracking your cycle as well, especially if you're getting the hormone profile done in your blood test, because I wasn't tracking my cycle last year when I got it done, and there's so many different ranges for the different phases in your cycle. So you might think that you're high in something, but it's just because you're in that part of the cycle. And then if you're in a different part of the cycle and you had that same reading, then you would be high. But yeah, it's just, whether you're high or low and within normal range depends on where you are in your cycle. And when I got my hormone profile done last year, I wasn't tracking my cycle and I had no idea where I was in my cycle and what phase. And so I didn't really know how to make use of that hormone profile. Obviously I had my DHEAs, which are measured separately, and they were high, so I did know that I had like high androgens. But yeah, it's just kind of good to know as well what your FSH, LH, estrogen and progesterone are doing, especially progesterone, because that is a very important hormone and it is commonly low in people with hormonal imbalances. Not always, don't hold me to that, not everyone, but it is common. So yeah, if you do want some help on how to track your cycle and how to link it all together and be an amazing problem solver, then I do recommend that you go and check out that book for yourself. And then at the end I have a whole big chapter on like how to eat, supplements, exercise, product overhauls, so like product swaps, and stress management as well. So yeah, there's just so much in there. So I made it so that I could help you guys out as much as possible. So hopefully you do find it useful and come and join us over in our private Facebook group for more assistance as well, for more support from me and the other girls in there. But hopefully you've enjoyed this video and it has been super inspiring and insightful for you. If you did enjoy it, then please make sure to like and subscribe so that I can bring you more videos like this every week. And if you haven't already, also make sure to go and join our Instagram community where I bring you more health tips and information throughout the week. But that is all from me for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video next week.